Okay, let's get started on discussion and argumentative essays. Okay, whose turn is it? Foreign? Okay.
Discussion essay requires us to weigh the pros and cons of a topic carefully. In this essay, we must use impersonal language, which means avoiding phrases like I think or we believe. Discussion essay can be organized vertically by showing advantages versus disadvantages, or horizontally by dividing into categories such as economic, social, and ethical.
Yeah, so discussion question basically means, if the essay prompt has discuss or discussing or, these phrases, then you know that this is this discussion essay. And it's one of the common types of academic writing that you have to do. And for this discussion essay, you have to avoid phrases like emotional or like impersonal sort of languages. So try to avoid I think, or I believe, or we believe, these phrases, okay? Try to be very impersonal and don't try to personalize any of your opinion or because discussion essay basically requires you to give a very objective opinion on the given topic or phenomenon. And a lot of the cases when you're given the discussion essay, then you basically have to think in terms of whether horizontal or horizontal is like this way, so and the vertical or horizontal. So the vertical method of discussion essay is basically you give pros and cons about the given issue. So say you have to discuss about the climate change, then vertical method basically means that you consider the pros, the advantages of that comes from the climate technologies and what are the benefits of the climate change around the world. In a lot of cases, people will actually argue for the disadvantages of the climate change, but even though you argue for the disadvantages of the climate change, you basically have to consider the pros sides first, and then you give them why it doesn't work. This is the counter argument, and you actually go back to your own opinion by saying these are more extensive list of disadvantages caused by climate change. Or horizontally, if you were to discuss about the climate change, then you can actually discuss about the economic aspects of climate change, or social, cultural sort of aspects of the climate change, or ethical implications of climate change. So you can think either vertically by thinking about the pros and cons of a given problem or issue, or horizontally, you basically discuss or analyze different aspects of a given problem. All right, so this is how you do it. And there are certain phrases that you have to remember and be able to use when you're writing the discussion essay. So try to just memorize them, okay? And remember, these phrases so that you can actually just write them down in your writing, okay? Warren, can you read on?
Essay titles that ask students to discuss a topic require an evaluation of both the advantages and the disadvantages of the issue. For example, children will learn a foreign language more easily if it is integrated with another subject discussed. In this type of essay, there is usually a section sometimes called discussion, where the benefits and drawbacks are summarized. To describe the positive side, you can use words such as benefit, advantage, a positive aspect, pro, or plus. Phrases include one major advantage is, or another significant benefit is. To describe the negative side, you can use words such as drawback, disadvantage, a negative feature, can or minus phrase. Con or minus phrase include a serious drawback is or was a considerable disadvantage. For example, one serious drawback to integrating content and language is the demand it places on the teacher. Another example, a significant benefit of teaching a subject through a foreign language is the increased motivation to master the language.
Right, so this actually gives you an idea what kind of words or phrases you have to use in your discussion essay. So, and this is a primary coming from the vertical method, right? So, if you were to use the vertical method, it basically gives them the benefits and drawbacks or the advantages and disadvantages. So, if you want to describe the positive side, you can use words such as benefit, advantage, positive aspect, pro, plus, these kind of words. And also phrases, examples of phrases, are like one major advantage is, one prime advantage is, or another significant benefit is, and another significant advantage is. So you can actually use these phrases to describe the positive aspect of the given phenomenon. So in this case, the given problem is whether it's better to learn English using the subject contents of a different subject, right? So it's actually better to learn English via learning math. You combine learning English with math, and that actually promotes better language learning. So that's actually the pro side of learning English with content from different subjects. Or if you want to describe the negative side, you can use words such as like drawback, disadvantage, a negative feature, a negative characteristic, like cone, minus. And then also you can use phrases like the drawback is, a serious disadvantage is, or you could just say, oh, this was a significant or a considerable disadvantage, this was a significant, considerable, problem. So, just remember, to use these phrases or verses is very important. It just makes your writing more academic, doesn't really say much, but then it actually helps you a lot, right? So just try to memorize them and try to utilize them in your writing, okay? So we're gonna do the exercise using these phrases. So let's go to page 43. It has a table with the exemplary words and phrases for benefits and drawbacks. So try to use these phrases and words and write a short paragraph of about 100 words on the benefits and drawbacks of learning online via lectures and classes. All right, so you write down 100 words, but you have to utilize the phrases, okay? Phrases or the words, okay? Let's get started. All right, so she actually used quite a few disadvantage sort of code words, right? And other phrases as well. So well done, very well done. All right, so you can employ, at the end, we're going to use longer expressions to utilize the vertical method, right? But as of now, using the right words and the phrases, very, very good. Okay. So let's move on to the discussion essay organization. Okay, Irina, you want to read?
The discussion can be organized in two ways, either by grouping the benefits in one section and the disadvantages in another vertical, or by examining the subject from different viewpoints, horizontal. For example, reasons used to reform criminals and their use should be limited, discussed.
Note.
In general, the vertical pattern is more suitable for short essays.
Right, so if you're given this essay prompt, prisons do little to reform criminals and their use should be limited. So this is a statement, right? And it says discuss. This is an essay prompt. And if you're given a short period of time, then usually just use the vertical method, which actually basically illustrates the pros and cons of a given issue. But if you're planning to write a longer sort of essay, then you can actually use the horizontal method, basically just discuss like various aspects of a given problem, but normally the vertical method is enough. So let's have a look at the examples of sentences that you can write for both vertical and horizontal ways. Okay, can you read? Can you yeah, if it works.
Prisons are expensive, maybe university of crime. Many prisoners will further offense after leaving. Many prisoners have mental health problems which often go untreated. Benefits. Prisons isolate dangerous criminals from society, act as a deterrent to criminal activity, may provide education and treatment, for example for drug addiction, provide punishment for wrongdoing. Discussion. Number of prisoners is rising in many countries, which suggests that the system is falling. Evidence that short sentences are of little value, but prisoners will always be necessary for some violent criminals, one as a deterrent. Horizontal. Economic. High cost of keeping prisoners safe and secure compared with cost of other forms of punishment. Ethical. Do prisoners reform criminals? What rights should prisoners have? Cases of wrongful imprisonment. Social. Effects on family of prisoners, especially female prisoners with children, but also necessary to consider the victims of crime, especially violent crime, and provide punishments for wrongdoing. Discussion. Number of prisoners is rising in many countries, which suggests that the system is falling. Evidence that short sentences are of little value, while the cost of the prison system is rising. But prisoners will always be necessary for some violent criminals and as a deterrent.
Right, so discussion is similar, but then the way they actually derive the conclusion is very different. So, if you were to use the horizontal method, then you can actually focus on the economic, social, ethical, and like there are other aspects as well. Like you can think about the political aspects, you can either think about domestic or international aspects. So what do you mean by horizontal is, basically try to find out as many different aspects or as many different dimensions as possible. You can think about the given issue. So these are the ways that you can actually use in writing or in organizing, in making the organization for your discussion essay. Okay, so let's do another exercise, which is in page 45. Okay, so it says practice A, and you have to basically write an essay prompt on the working from home. So it says, working from home can be positive for both companies and their employees. Discuss, right? So this is a discussion essay. So basically, if you were to employ a vertical method, then you think about the positive aspects of working from home and negative aspects from working from home. So write down the positive, the pros and cons in the boxes below. Okay, so we're going to learn about the language discussion and then use these pros and cons for completing an essay on the topic. Okay, whose turn is it?
In academic discussion, it's important to maintain an objective style and to avoid personal phrases such as "in my opinion" or "actually I think." Instead, writers should use impersonal phrases that make the argument sound balanced and formal.
Right, so I told you that it's better to avoid such phrases as "in my opinion," "actually I think," "I believe," "we believe." Don't try to use these expressions. I've spotted some of the expressions in your writing, right? So for high school level, it's okay, but for college level, especially for academic writing, these phrases not allowed, okay? And there are like different phrases that you can use instead, okay? So if you were to write about a majority or widely accepted views, then you can use these phrases.
Phrases generally accepted that, it's widely agreed that, most people, it's probably that, and the evidence suggests that.
Yeah, and then you can read the example sentences as well.
Examples. It's generally accepted that working from home saves commuting time. The evidence suggests that email and the internet reduce reliance on the office. Most people prefer face-to-face contact with colleagues. It's probably that more companies will acknowledge working from home. It's widely agreed that certain people are better at self-organization and time management than others.
Right, so you can use these expressions for majority or widely accepted viewpoints. But if you were to write something about minority or alternative point of view, then you can use like different phrases, right? What can you read?
Phrases. It can be argued that and one view is that, another is it's a claim that. The examples, it can be argued that home working encourage time wasting. It's a claim that home workers became isolated. One view is that communicating cannot be a positive career.
Right, so you can use the sentences as examples. You just use these phrases. So when I actually learned how to write, I actually copied a lot of different sentences just to get used to the phrases, you know? Because there is an academic style of writing, you know? So that's why I actually want you to memorize or just, remember all these phrases so that they can just automatically come out when you write down, okay? When you write an academic writing, okay? So what we're gonna do is we wrote down the pros and cons of working from home. You basically have to use these phrases, okay? And we're gonna write an essay, short essay on this, okay? So using the vertical method, okay? So you can write the essay at the, do you have a paper? No? This is good. Big paper. I think we have 20 minutes left, so you can please use the expressions I told you, right? So these examples and also what are they? Yeah, like phrases like this, okay? So use the academic phrases, words, expressions on the essay topics. So let's do this now. What's the positive and negative aspects of working from home? Yeah.
Working